What's up, brothers? Hope everybody's doing well out there. In today's video, I wanted to discuss this topic that I see a lot of people talking about. And, a lot of people will discuss how men are avoiding marriage and also women are avoiding marriage. And they like to cover the aspect of social media and the influence that it's had in terms of hypergamy and the options that women have and high value men. And then other people like to hit it from the angle of like family court and, men should avoid marriage because, divorce and child support and alimony and so on and so forth, right? Which are all valid points, by the way. But the aspect that I want to talk about in today's video is something that I haven't really ever heard anybody talk about. And it's the programming side of things, the way we were programmed. I mean, I can speak for myself and, for my generation and where I grew up at. You know what they taught us about dating and relationships, about intersexual dynamics, about the nuclear family, about maintaining a healthy relationship and raising children? You know what they taught us? They taught us to use condoms. Literally. They sat everyone down and they said, STDs are bad, pregnancy is bad, wear these condoms, and they gave us condoms. And they said, make sure you use these if you're having sex. And it didn't seem like such a big deal. Seems like kind of a smart plan on the outside, right? But when you really read between the lines and you get deep into it, what's the programming there? What's actually going on there? How do you receive that? Well, the way your brain is going to receive it is, as long as you wear these condoms, you can have unlimited sex with unlimited partners, with no consequences and no repercussions. You can just go do whatever you want, and it's totally harmless, right? Now, that in and of itself isn't necessarily that big of a deal. Say what you want about promiscuity, but it's not that big of a deal. It kind of is, but, I'll let you determine that on your own. But that's just what my generation was taught. I graduated in 2004. And from my graduating class, I think it's pretty close. I think 44%, I think 44% of my graduating class got married and 56% did not. It's less than half. And the generation before us, what was that, Gen X, I think? They were a little bit higher, maybe 10% higher. You go all the way back to the boomer generation, they were, maybe 20% higher than them. You go back 100 years, I think like 85% of them were getting married, so almost everybody, except for the extremely undesirables. So everybody that wants to hit this strictly from an aspect of social media and modern law, they're clearly leaving out the programming part. And, it's kind of hard to tell what the flesh wants. I'm not going to go into like a religious route in this video, although, religions do preach nuclear family. Pretty much all of them do. But when you go to more of like a secular society, which is kind of what we've done, you're satisfying the flesh. That's the biggest concern. And if you're somebody that wants a monogamous relationship, you got to understand they've opened up Pandora's box of serial monogamy, meaning you're monogamous for a short term, and then you leave that partner and then you're monogamous with another partner, then you leave them and you're monogamous with another partner. And that's essentially the human mating strategy when it's untamed, when it's not tied down. There's nothing holding it together. There's no enforced monogamy. There's no socially enforced monogamy. It's just do whatever you want. And that's what we've seen take place, with it's kind of like the old commercial. I don't know if you remember it. There was a kid walking with a stack of books, and they were too heavy for him to carry. And they just kept slapping more books on it, so it was just getting heavier and heavier. Or imagine you're at the gym lifting weights, and you can barely get a rep up, but they just keep putting more weight, and it's getting harder and harder. So if you're somebody that wants to settle down and get married and have a big family, it's getting harder and harder, and it has been for 100 years. The biggest key markers would be the sexual revolution, obviously no fault marriage, feminism, mainstream media promoting a hypersexualized culture, and then, obviously with the invention of dating apps. Did I say no fault divorce? So sexual revolution, no fault divorce, feminism, pushing promiscuity in culture, and then the final, the final nail in the coffin, social media, and what that's done to both sides. Now, I'm sure you've heard the term hypergamy floats. If you haven't, I'll explain it to you. So, the term hypergamy floats is, how do I describe this? So, let's say a woman graduates college and she gets a job making $70,000 a year. Well, according to hypergamy, the theory of hypergamy, which usually does hold true, statistically holds true. I'm not saying it's good or it's bad, I'm just saying statistically it usually holds true. Well, that means that this woman she's not going to be interested in dating a man that makes less than $70,000 a year. Okay? So, let's say that's where we start with most women. Doesn't have to be $70,000, they don't all make $70,000, but I'm just using that as an example. And then let's say this woman dates a very handsome man who is 6'2", and he looks like a male model Chippendale dancer. She has a lot of fun with him. She thinks he's really hot. They have a great sex life, but the relationship doesn't work out. Well, now she needs a man that makes at least $70,000 and is hot and looks like a Chippendale dancer. Then let's say she dates a famous guy who's handsome. He makes $500,000 a year. He's got it going on. He's got everything going on. And it doesn't work out with this guy. Well, now her standard is up there. She can't date a guy below that. Well, that's what hypergamy floats means. It means her standards have gotten so high that she's priced herself out of the market. Now, I'm not saying every woman is doing that, but just due to the laws of, I don't want to say female nature, there's no laws to female nature, but, just basic psychology, once you've been exposed to one standard, that becomes your standard. You don't want to go below that. And, a lot of women out there are pricing themselves out of the market. That's something that's really happening. It exists. It has for a long time, and I'm not saying it's good or bad. Obviously, most people would say it's bad, but I'm just saying what it is. And for men do not want to get married. Very few men want to get married. They'd love to have a wife. They'd love to have kids. They'd love to settle down, buy a big house, and live the life. But they don't want to get married because they know damn well all the risk that comes along with it. And with the programming that we were talking about earlier, the serial monogamy, typically, once you get everything that you can get out of a relationship, that's when you're ready to move on to something else. And that's the programming that modern human beings have going on, you know. Maybe that's biologically how it's always been. I don't know. Maybe this whole monogamous society thing was just a short-lived idea. I don't know. But it's obvious that the majority of people in this day and age, you know, living in advanced societies, are into the serial monogamy thing. You know, that's what they want. That's what they desire. So, men understand this. Why are you going to bring the state? Why are you going to bring the government into your relationship when the woman that you're dating or the woman that you're marrying can pack up and leave at any given moment? Well, actually, she doesn't have to pack up and leave. She's going to kick you out. You know, and you're going to be the one living in an apartment trying to figure out, you know, what to do with your life. You know, and that's essentially the situation that we're in. So we can bring up statistics of who cheats more and, you know, how hypergamous are modern women and how much do body counts matter, so on and so forth. Or we can just simply look at the programming and say, hold the fuck up. You know, this is what people are programmed to do right now. You know, if you program people to say you need a well-balanced diet, you need vegetables, you need carbs, you need meats, they're going to have a well-balanced diet. You can program them to be carnivores, to do keto, you can program them to be vegetarians, but, you know, it seems like they're programming them to be omnivores, right? Because humans are easy to program. And in relationships, it's the same way. You can program them to be monogamous. You can program women to be hookers. You can program men to be players, to just pump and dump women. You can program them to, you know, be into this serial monogamy thing. And that's the current programming. That's just what it is. So, you know, to some degree, if enough people get behind it, there could be a cultural shift. You know, things could change, and it could go in the direction that you want it to go in. But it would take an effort, a collective effort from society that I don't think we're going to get. You know, any man that gets behind that would be called a simp, a tradcon, you know, whatever. Women that try to get behind that would just also probably get shamed and, you know, just trad wife, call them shit like that. Again, I'm not trying to give a prescription here. I'm just saying that's where we're at in society right now. That's the current programming. That's the battle that's being fought. That's what, you know, we're all looking at. And we haven't even got into the incel problem, the, you know, the sex worker, sex industry problems, you know, all of those problems that are going on. We're just talking about the regular average person right here and what they're going through. But I don't know, you know, that's just something to think about. You know, the programming that we have going on in our brains. Wear condoms and go to college. And then what? Never taught you how to buy a house, how to have a relationship, how to start a family, how to maintain a healthy marriage and not get divorced. Didn't teach you any of it. It just said wear condoms. And then unrolled all of this new technology that makes it easier than ever for us to hook up and cheat and have sex with as many people as we want and masturbate to internet porn and buy sex toys and so on and so forth. You know, maybe some would say it's not that big of a deal, but obviously it is if this many people are talking about it. You know, trying to come up with conclusions and ideas as to why things are the way they are. And so many people are lonely and they wish it wasn't this way. Well, maybe understanding why it is this way is the first step to correcting the problem. Who knows? Anyways, guys, I guess I'm going to go ahead and shut this one off, but I hope this video was somewhat informative, and that's about it for today, guys. Until next time, See ya.